there and welcome to my channel. As you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 chooses my TBR. So we are this close to June, and that means it is time to see what I'm going to be reading. I am taking part in one readathon this month, and that is the Queer Lit Readathon. I have a separate TBR for that. I don't know which order they're going out, but if it goes out before this video, I'll link it in the cards above. If not, keep your eye on my channel. I am still doing Buzzwordathon. And the prompt for this month is repeating words, so a book that has the same word in the title more than once. And the only ones I have are ones with basically the, so I'm going to go with The Case of the Waffling Warrants, because the is in there twice. It says, what's more satisfying than waffles and maple syrup? Murder. For ex-spy Charlotte Mission, life in the cozy town of Gossip, Texas is anything but boring. With a retired spy grandmother for company, an inn to clean, kittens around every corner, and guests to keep happy, she's living a perfectly normal life. But Charlotte has a secret. She's Gossip's first and only fixer. With her particular set of skills and a secret armory at her disposal, Charlie's the person folks around town come to when they're in deep, seemingly irreversible trouble. And after the owner of the local bakery is slapped in cuffs on trumped-up charges, she's on the job. Everything is going to plan until Charlie's client is found murdered in her cell. And with a new detective in town who's not afraid to make arrests on a whim, she's got her work cut out for her. Can she solve the case of the waffling warrants before she winds up in jail? Find out in the first in a brand new cozy mystery series by best-selling author Rosie A. Point. So I decided to go with a cozy mystery because that felt like it was appealing to me, and it is an ebook, and I am trying to be better about remembering that I actually own ebooks. The other thing I want to mention before we dive into my regular monthly stuff is that I am hosting a queer book club, and we have picked our first book for the month of June. We will be talking about this in my Discord, the link of which is in my description if you'd like to join in the month of June and read this book and chat about us with it. And that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a space opera as marked on Goodreads, so it's sci-fi and it's queer. It looks like it's going to have some found family aspects. I've read the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers as well and really loved it, so I'm actually really looking forward to checking this out and seeing if this is going to be a book that clicks with me. And I'm looking forward to being able to discuss it all with you. So again, if you want to participate and you want to check this book out, there's a link in my Discord for where we will be chatting about this book as we read it throughout the month of June. That brings me to my nonfiction of the month, and for this I'm going to read Gender Euphoria, Stories of Joy from Trans, Non-Binary, and Intersex Writers. This was one of the options for the book club, and I really, really wanted to read this. It's one I've heard a lot of really good things about, and I am very, very excited to check it out. It says, Gender Euphoria, a powerful feeling of happiness experienced as a result of moving away from one's birth-assigned gender. In this groundbreaking anthology, 19 trans, non-binary, agender, gender fluid, and intersex writers share their experiences of gender euphoria. So we're going to see people from all different backgrounds experience gender euphoria, and I thought it would be a really good book to read in June and kind of explore some trans joy for a change instead of some of the heavier topics I sometimes read about when I pick out queer nonfiction, because obviously there has been a lot of awful things that have happened to queer people throughout history. So I thought this would be a nice change of pace and focusing on some happiness that has happened to some trans people. So very excited to check this one out and hoping I love it. Which brings me to this sucker. This scares me, but it is updated, which means everything is in here. There might be some I finished because I've been doing really well at finishing my series. It's overflowing again, which means I probably need to go through here and see what's in here that can be removed, or at least maybe roll them up a little bit tighter, which sometimes happens as you paw through them. So I expect there be a paper explosion. We're gonna go with that one, this one, and this red one. Okay, so many papers on the floor. Let's see, my first series is Front Desk by Kelly Yang. I can definitely do this. So I'm on the third book in this series, and it's called Room to Dream, and it follows Mia and her immigrant parents who are working at this hotel in the first book, and they're hiding a lot of secrets, and we kind of get to see their journey being immigrants in the United States at that time period. I think it's the 90s. And each subsequent book has continued to follow Mia's journey. I've really enjoyed this series, so I'm totally down to check out book number 3 and see what Mia gets up to in this one. It's a really enjoyable series, and I hadn't thought about it in a while, so I'm actually kind of excited that it came out of my TBR jar, which is why I love this jar. It reminds me of series that I'm in the middle of that I've forgotten about. Series number 2, interesting, is Lightfall by Tim Probst. Let me see if I can get book 2. No, 3. I'm on book 3. So the next book is The Dark Times, and I've requested it, but all of the copies seem to be out, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in the month of June. So just in case, I'm going to draw another piece of paper, especially considering that's a graphic novel, so it'll be a quick read anyways. We'll go with this purple one. And we've got Aunt Dimity. Okay. I am currently doing a reread of that, so let me figure out which book was the last book I reread. So the next book I'm on in my reread is Aunt Dimity Detective. This series follows Lori, who in the first book inherits a cottage from a woman named Aunt Dimity. Or I should say, a woman named Dimity Westwood, that she's known as Aunt Dimity from stories her mom told her growing up. She had no idea that Aunt Dimity was a real person and was actually her mom's best friend. They had met, I believe, during the war and continued a correspondence afterwards, but Lori was never aware that she was a real person. When she gets to the cottage that Aunt Dimity left her, she finds a blue journal, and in this journal, she can communicate with Aunt Dimity on the other side. In this one, apparently there's been a murder in Finch, which is where Lori lives, and she's probably going to look into it with the help of Aunt Dimity. So, like I said, I've read this one before. I'm trying to do a reread because it's been so long since I've read the series, because I read these like ages and ages and ages ago, that I wanted to refresh my memory of what was going on with Lori and her loved ones, both friends and family, before I read the newer books. So I'm not at all opposed to continuing on with my reread, because I probably should have done it a while ago. And then my last series, Elemental by Bridget Kemmerer. So I was looking, and I've made the decision that I'm going to DNF that series. It immediately filled me with dread when I saw that I pulled it. I've tried to reread it twice now, and as much as I love a lot of Bridget Kemmerer's work, this isn't my favorite, and I don't particularly want to go back to it. So I think this is one I can let go and try to read something else. So let's see. Series number 3 is actually going to be with more papers. This red one right here. Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. So this one is going to be another reread for me, because I'm going to reread Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I read it ages and ages and ages ago, and I remember liking it. And I don't remember if I like soft DNF book 2 or just didn't pick it up because I wasn't in the mood or what. But I did find this copy in a little free library, and I wanted to give it another shot because I do remember enjoying book 1. I don't remember much about it. So hopefully I will enjoy my reread, or I will make a decision on the series as a whole. So this is a good enough time to reread this one as well. And with that, this gets to go back on. Front desk is back in there, as is Aunt Dimity. I left Smoke and Bone out in case I decide I don't want to continue the series. Lightfall is left out because the new book just recently came out, so if I read that, I'll be caught up. And then, of course, Elemental is staying out because I DNF'd it. So there is my series to continue for the month of June. An interesting mix, which brings me to this. It is currently the 25th, and the only book I have left for my Phase 10 TBR is The Untold Stories, and I am on the last story, so there's no reason I'm not going to finish this month. So that means that once again, I get to have a reward. I am going to add in the rewards that y'all have suggested soon. I just have no idea where my pink construction paper went, so I might have to buy some more because I'm out of paper and I'm just not finding it in my room right now. So I will be adding in more at some point. I do still have my mood read for this month if I want to use it. I obviously don't need it for May's TBR, but I could end up using it for June's. And we'll go with this one. So that's the one we're going to do. And then I had shuffled these together earlier. So let's go with this. Blue 4. We can do a blue 4. So we'll take down the prompt for blue 4 and replace it with this reward. So I have mixed the 4 back in and reshuffled. So now I need to get my phase. We'll take some of these and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. We're going for 2 sets of 4 and my start is not looking promising. Well, I'll get these up on the board and then I'll be right back. So as you can see, we're set up. I now have my set of 5 going. And the rest is a crapshoot, although I will say I'm going to try to avoid doing 3s because I actually have a reward here that I can use. So if I could pull a 5 or literally any of the other numbers, I will be getting a reward. Not a bad way to start the game. That being said, let's dive in with draw number 1. It's a green 7. Green 7 is not a reward. So we'll be going for 5s and 7s, I guess, and I think this green 3 is going to give me a reward. So my first prompt is a reward, and it is watch 4 hours of streaming. So instead of reading a book, I have to watch 4 hours of basically like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and I'm down with that because I've been really in the mood to watch some more Ghosts. So we're off to a great start. We'll replace that with this. Draw number 2 is a yellow 4. I do not have 4s, so I will be using that over here. The prompt for yellow 4 is friend pick. So for friend pick, I am going to hit up Phoenix in my Discord because they've become a pretty decent friend of mine, and see which of these books they would like me to read, 2 of which I want to read right now, 2 of which I don't, and they won't be seeing this before they pick. So I'm going to go with Aunt Dimity Detective to continue this series since it came out of my series, to continue Jarn, in the same vein, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. So these are the ones I want to be picked. These other 2 are books I want to read, but I don't really want to read right now because I already have a very full TBR, and these aren't on that tentative June TBR. All You Need Is Love and Hazel Bly in the Deep Blue Sea. So those are going to be the 4 options I present to Phoenix, and here's what they chose. Hopefully they chose one of the 2 that is already on my TBR, but I purposely picked books that I thought might appeal to them that aren't on my TBR. So this is what they've picked, and either way, I'm happy with whatever they chose. We'll replace that with this. Draw number 3 is a red 12. Okay. So now I've got 7s, 5s, and 12s. Let's go blue 2. Blue 2 is speaking to me. Getting a nice little run over here. Blue 2 is Becca's Bookopoly. Well, let's insert the footage of Becca's Bookopoly here. So I ended up getting Becca's Bookopoly. I'm going to be using the Spookopoly-a-thon board like I did last year. Last time I ended on lowest rated, so I will start there. And we're going to roll the die and see what I get. 7, so I'm not going to have to roll again, which is nice. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Green. This means a book with a mostly green cover. So for green, I'm going to go with Call of the Wraith by Kevin Sands. This is the 4th book in the Blackthorn Key series. I am working to reread this series so that I can then catch up because it's been so long since I've read it. It's a historical fiction mystery series. I've really enjoyed my reread of it, and I don't think I can get much more green than that. So this will be added to my TBR. Okay, well, hopefully that wasn't too bad, but let's replace that with this. Because, of course, if I got doubles, I have to play by Becca's rules, which means this prompt could be very, very bad. Draw number 4 is a green 1. Yep, we definitely got a run going over here. The prompt for green 1. Ooh, under 300 pages. So this is easy. For this, I'm going to read Hooray for she, he, ze, and they. What are your pronouns today? This is a book I've had my eye on for a while. My library finally had the ability to request it, so I did. It is a picture book, obviously all about pronouns, and I am very, very excited to dive into this in the month of June. I love being able to see what kind of picture books are out there, especially with all of the little ones in my life that I can then make the recommendation to. And this is one that I've had, like I said, my eye on for a long time. Hopefully it is as amazing as it sounds like it's going to be. And it's well under 300 pages. To replace that with this. Drawer number 5 is a blue 6. And I have a green 6. So let's just take the 10, since the 10 is in the way. Now we're going for 5s, 6s, 7s, or 12s. So blue 6 is read a book about books. So this was a complete dull moment. I'm going, oh man, I know I own some cozy mysteries. And then I'm like, I'm reading a cozy mystery series that is set in a magical bookshop where our main character, Violet, ends up getting help from the books in the bookshop via magic to help solve whatever crime is happening. So my next book in that series is Verse and Vengeance, and that's what I'm going to read for books about books. Like I said, she works in a magical bookshop, and these books often speak to her and help her try to solve whatever crime or hint at whatever crime is happening. And it sounds like this one, there's going to be a bicycle race, and there is a character we met in a previous book that I don't want to say who they are or how we met them, but that character is going to end up dying. And, well, it looks like Violet is going to be the number 1 suspect. So this should be interesting. I'm sure that there will be some sort of magical bookish influence. So this is definitely going to be a book about books and will be what I'm reading for this prompt. That really should not have taken me so long. Drawer number 6. Oh, well, at least I have 1 month off. Drawer number 6, part 2. E is a red 7, so we're definitely going for 7s. Let's go and get rid of this 9. Oh, I'll put the 7 up here. And red 9. Oh, it's so sad. I could have had a reward, but it's so sad. Oh, red 9 is easy fantasy. So for this, I'm going to read Vivi Conway and the Sword of Legend. This is a middle grade queer fantasy that features autism rep, which I'm very, very excited about. It says, Vivi Conway has grown up listening to stories about magic, monsters, and myth. She's always wanted to be in one, but now that she's drawn a sword from a lake, yes, that sword, she's not so sure she wants to be a hero. With a group of new friends and a ghostly dog named Gellert who can talk, Vivi is thrown into a legendary adventure that will take her from Wales to London to the mysterious Unlands. It's not easy coming to terms with the magical destiny, and sometimes it's even harder to find true friendship. I am very, very excited about this one. So, I mean, I have to pick this one for fantasy. It's a no-brainer. Drawer number 7. Okay. I'm going to get rid of the 8s because it's the last number I've drawn, and the others are all paired up. So, blue 8. Title has the same number of words or letters as your name. So 4. So for this, I'm going to read it Under the Udala Trees, which is obviously 4 words. This is one of the group books for the Queer Lit Readathon. Ijeoma comes of age as her nation does. Born before independence, she is 11 when civil war breaks out in the young Republic of Nigeria. Sent away to safety, she meets another displaced child, and they, star-crossed, fall in love. They are from different ethnic communities. They are also both girls. When their love is discovered, Ijeoma learns that she will have to hide this part of herself, but there is a cost to living inside a lie. Inspired by Nigeria's folktales and its war, Under the Udala Tree shows through one woman's lifetime how the struggles and divisions of a nation are inscribed into the souls of its citizens. In prose that is elegant and spare, with insights heartbreaking and electrifying, it offers a story charged with hope that points to a future when a woman might just be able to become fully herself, shaping her life around truth and love. This sounded really, really interesting. I had never heard of it before I looked into the readathon this month. And I am very, very excited to check it out. It feels like it's going to be a very moving story, and I'm curious to see where Igioma goes with her story and her life throughout this book. We'll replace that with this. Draw number 8 is a 12. So we're going for 7s and 12s. I have a 4, a 7, a 9, and 11, which does not help me, so I might as well go with the yellow 8. The prompt for yellow 8. People on the cover. This is another easy one. I'm going to choose Room to Dream because it is one of the books I pulled out of my TBR jar, and there are 3 people on this cover, so I think this is a perfect time to stick this on my TBR. We'll replace that with this. We'll move this over because it seems to be in the way. And draw number 9. It's like a new, y'all. That another wild was coming, because of course it was. We only get 1 month where that doesn't happen. Draw number 9, part 2, is another yellow 8. This prompt was not long for the board. It wants to come right back off, and that's because it is one word title. For this, I'm going to read Green by Alex Gino. And this is going to follow Green. And Green is going to be dealing with a crush and struggling with their feelings because they know how they feel, but they don't know how their crush feels, and is going to join the school musical, and they get to work alongside their crush, and they don't know if that's going to be the best idea. I have loved the other books I've read by Alex Gino, so I'm very, very excited to read this one. They are a phenomenal writer, and I'm betting this is just as phenomenal as the other books I've read by them. We'll replace that with this and go for what is hopefully our last regular draw number 10. Is a green 8. Apparently, I should have gone with 8s because I'd have one of my sets done right now. Who knew? Green 8. Dark cover. I'm going to go with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet because this is a pretty dark cover. It is, again, my book pick for my queer book club, so if you want to join in, Discord's linked below. I'm going to be reading it in the month of June, so I might as well get it on what is possibly going to be a very large TBR. We'll replace that with this. I'm going to admit I'm nervous because I have 2 wilds. I have no idea what Becca's Bookopoly is going to do to me, and I still don't know what Phoenix has picked for me, so I'm a little nervous. Let's see what number I get on my die for my first wild roll. 4. Could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. Wild 1, draw 1, is a green 2. The prompt for green 2 is read once, need more. So this needs to be an author where I've read one of their books, was really into it, and want to read another. So for this, I'm going to continue a series I started last month, and that is Sanity and Tallulah. This is Field Trip. This is the second book in this series, and we follow Sanity and Tallulah, who live in space on this, like, space station, like, world kind of thing. I don't remember the word they use for where they live, but it is, like, some kind of base in space where these girls live and get up to mischief. I'm going to assume in this one they go on a field trip. I really enjoyed the first one. It's a graphic novel series, so it should be quick. And I read once, loved it, and would like to read more. So definitely think this fits the prompt. We'll replace that with this. Wild 1, draw 2. It's a red 2. Okie dokie. The prompt for red 2 is a 5-star prediction. So for this, I'm going to pick one of my 5-star predictions. I'm going to go with Irina's War. I will link the video above where I talk about these books and why I think they're going to be 5-star predictions. This is a historical fiction. It looked quite interesting, and hopefully it gets all of the 5 stars that I'm predicting it will get. We'll replace that with this. Wild 1, draw 3. Ooh, I have my first set. Let's just, we'll put you there. Let's go with a green 5. I'm feeling a green 5. Last time I felt something, I ended up with Becca's Bookopoly, which means I have no idea how many prompts I ended up with. So hopefully this will work out slightly better and will definitely be just the one book. And we have Random Page Generator. As you can see, I've popped up a random number generator, and I've done a minimum of 100 and a maximum of 1,000, and we'll generate a number. 830. Oh no. Oh no. So the obvious choice for this is the next Robert Jordan book. According to Goodreads, it's 860. It looks like my library copy is 784, which is right around 830. I'm on book 11, Knife of Dreams. I was hoping to have a month off from Robert Jordan, but I can get the audiobook, I can get the physical book, so I mean, it feels like the right thing to do. I really hope I don't regret this, because the only books I can think of that I own that are way up there are like the Ken Follett books, and I really don't want to read those right now. So, Wheel of Time it is. Why do I play this game again? It always bites me in the butt. We'll replace that with this and go with Wild 1, draw 4, which is a yellow 3. Yellow 3 is blue on the cover. For this, I'm going to read We Could Be So Good, because it's an entirely blue cover. This is by Cat Sebastian. It's a male-male romance, and it's historical fiction. We're in the 1950s, and we're following Nick, who is working for a newspaper, and our other POV is Andy, who is the newspaper tycoon's son, and his dad wants him to take over the business, but he doesn't really want to, and doesn't think he's really capable of doing it. He agrees to work for a year in the newsroom, knowing it won't go well, but Nick keeps rescuing him. And it says, their unlikely friendship soon sharpens into feelings they can't deny. But what feels possible in secret, this fragile, tender thing between them, seems doomed in the light of day. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I've read other romances by Cat Sebastian and really enjoyed them. So I'm hoping that this will be a romance that really clicks with me and that I enjoy it. And I mean, you can't get much more blue on the cover than this. Okay, so we're going to pop this wild up here and swap this one down here. We'll just quickly move these. Really? Out of the way. And we'll replace this before I forget. And let's see what we're getting for my second wild, which is another 4. Whoops. Where did the 4 go? Wild 2, draw 1, is a 2. So I've now had 4 2s, 4 8s. Like, why did I not go with those? So green 2, whoops, almost took the blue 2. Green 2 is by Pockrep. For this, I'm going to read Lost Prophet, The Life and Times of Bayard Rustin. This is a nonfiction book, and it says, one of the most important figures of the American civil rights movement, Bayard Rustin taught Martin Luther King Jr. the methods of Gandhi, spearheaded the 1963 March on Washington, and helped bring the struggle of African Americans to the forefront of a nation's consciousness. But despite his incontrovertibly integral role in the movement, the openly gay Rustin is not the household name that many of his activist contemporaries are. In exploring history's lost prophet, acclaimed historian John D'Amelio explains why Rustin's influence was minimized by his peers and why his brilliant strategies were not followed or were followed by those he never meant to help. So this obviously has BIPOC rep in it. It sounded really, really interesting, and I'm hoping to learn something because I have never heard of Bayard Rustin before, and it seems like I probably should have. We'll replace that with this. Wild 2, draw 2 is a blue 1. Okay. Some 5s would be nice. No, 12s. A 12 would be nice. That's what I want. Last letter first. So the last letter of the title I just mentioned needs to be the first letter of the next book I choose. And let me just double check. So that's N. So I need to read a book that starts with the letter N. So none of the books on my tentative TBR start with N, which is very sad. And none of the books I haven't gotten to so far at May start with N. And I legitimately only own 4 books that start with the letter N. So we're going to go with No One Leaves the Castle. I'd been hoping to read this in spooky season because I think it's a spooky mystery. Because it says solve the mystery, break the spell. I don't know anything else about it because this is an Owl Crate exclusive edition and I haven't taken it out of the plastic. So I guess I'm going to find out this month whether I'm right about that and we'll get to read this. And this was not at all on my radar, but one of the other options is book 2 and I haven't read book 1. The other one is like a historical, maybe romance, maybe not, I'm not sure. And then the third one is about Norse mythology, and I just wasn't in the mood for that right now. So this was really the logical choice. We'll replace that with this and go for Wild 2. Draw number 3. I so picked wrong. Where is my 12? Yellow 5. Newest purchase. So for this, I'm going to read Drinks and Sinkholes. This is an ebook I actually bought yesterday. It is the first book in the Weary Dragon Inn series, and it is a cozy mystery fantasy. It says Bev may not know who she was before she showed up in the quaint village of Pig's End 5 years ago, but that doesn't bother her much. She's made a tiny little life for herself as the proprietor of the Weary Dragon Inn, where the most notable event is when she makes her famous rosemary bread. But when earthquakes and sinkholes start appearing all over town, including near Bev's front door, she's got to put on her sleuthing hat to figure out what, or who, might be causing them before the entire town disappears. So that sounded interesting to me, especially at the expensive price of 99 cents for the ebook. So, I grabbed that yesterday, and I guess, Phase 10 decided I wasn't going to have this ebook for years before reading it. I'm going to be reading it pretty much immediately. We'll replace that with this, and then hopefully my final draw of this round, and I'm terrified I probably shouldn't have said that because every time I do this turns out to be a wild. Wild 2, draw 4, is a 5. I'd have had my phase. Red 5 is highest rated. This went so well last time. Not what I was planning to read, but not necessarily something I'm upset about. My highest rated book, according to Goodreads, that I own, with a 4.68, is Scander in the Chaos Trials, as I almost dropped the book. This is the 3rd book in the Scander series, so I'm not at all opposed to reading this. I had actually thought about reading this in July as part of the Final Book support group, because I thought it would be a good shout to save for that, but I guess I'm reading it in June. This follows Scander, who wants to be a unicorn writer, and a lot of crazy things have happened to Scander in the first 2 books, and it's kind of turned Scander's world upside down. I really loved book 1, wasn't as into book 2, so I'm curious to see if book 3 bounces back, and it was just kind of a book 2 slump. So yeah, I guess this is the final book on my TBR for the month of June. And let me replace that before I forget. So that is my TBR, including whichever of these 4 that Phoenix picked, and whatever Becca's Bookopoly did to me, and the book or books I ended up choosing for that. Another month where I have a ton of wilds. I'm sure you all enjoyed watching the chaos. You normally seem to. Hopefully this month will go well. I now have books everywhere that I need to pick up. So I'm going to go. It's really, really hot in here too. I had to turn my AC off because the noise was so loud when I did my test film that like I couldn't leave it on. So I'm going to go turn my air conditioner on. This is my TBR for the month. Seriously, y'all, wish me luck. I see a punishment in my future. Just a gut feeling that this month is not going to go how I want it to go. But yeah, all of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me rainbow emojis for Pride Month. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!